This is the last video for topic 4, where we're learning how to conduct custom analysis using the dump output file from the tax model. Let's look at what we want to do here. We've been using the same reform as in topic 3, where we've eliminated beginning 2022 the lifestyle relief. We ran the model in 2025 with that reform, calling for the database version of the dump file. So instead of a CSV file, it's a .db file. We looked at the table, the so-called schema, or the structure of the database, showing the two tables using this run. So what we're going to do in this final video is show the recommended way to work with the database dump output. The recommended way is to write a text file in your editor. We're going to create this file from scratch, and then what you do is execute this command at the Anaconda prompt. What this does is run SQLite3. It says, okay, I'm going to use this database, and I'm going to execute the SQL commands that are in that file. The less than sign there basically redirects the content of the file straight into SQLite, and it reads the instructions one after one and executes them. So that's the scheme. Let's get started by going to the Anaconda prompt. This is where we left it before. We had our reform file. Here we ran the tax model calling for the db dump, and we ran this command. Give it the name of the file, and then this was to remind us that the schema, the dot command, just shows you the structure of each table that's contained in the database. So now we're going to start our editor up. Let's get that up here. Sorry about that. Left over from earlier work. We're going to do tax topic 4 video tabulate, and we're going to write SQL commands. Okay? So first we can put both formal SQL commands, or because we're using SQLite, we can use the dot commands. So what we're going to do is save just this file. We're going to go back to the command prompt, and we're going to do this. So that's the file. It's just got the scheme in it. So it should give it, see, it gives us exactly the same results as we got in our doing this command. So if we actually refresh our memory about what is in that file, it's just that. So we're going to go back to our editor now, and we're going to start adding commands. We're going to forget this. This was just to grasp our concept. Now we're going to start writing select commands. Okay. So remember from the interactive one, we did this. We still need the semicolon at the end, but notice that I've put these on 2 different lines. It's going to be much easier to write a complex select query by using our editor and easily putting different parts of the complex select command on different lines. So now I'm going to go back, and we're going to run this again. There's our 370 some thousand filers. We're going to clear the screen so that we're going to do nothing now but edit the SQL commands in our editor and then run this at the command prompt over and over again. So we can just use the up arrow and hit the enter key to do this. So let's add what we saw before, the sum of the weight as, what do we call that? Filers in the millions, right? Well, and as you may remember, we had to scale it by multiplying the sum of the weights, shifting the decimal point 6 points to make it in the millions. So let's run that. So we got the count, we got the 4.33 million, but again, it's suffering from excessive number of decimal digits. So we're going to fix that, and we're also going to use what we remember from the interactive thing. We're going to use the .mode command to put the column header on the output, okay? So let's do that first, up at the top. And we're going to go down here and we're going to do the rounding. Now you can pick, so the round command has two things, the number and then comma, how many digits you want to round to. So we're going to pick 3 here. You notice the tables in the tabular output are rounded to 2 decimal points. It's really up to you about what you want to do. So now we're sort of back to where we had been before. Let me go back to the editor, put a comma here because we're going to add more. We're going to sum the weighted difference. This is, we're going to take the difference between, remember we had 2 tables here, current law policy and the reform table. So we're going to do what's called a join the reform table. And how are we going to join them? How do we know which row in the current law policy table goes with which row in the reform table? Well, it's the record ID. This is, you just have to learn this. This is something that the model has done. It's created a unique integer for each filer. And that integer is used in all the tables. And so that's the way we would join the 2 tables, as it's called, or merge them. So what we're going to do here is we've got 2 tables in one now. We've put them together. This is the power of relational database. This is the heart of what is meant by a relational database, that we can join the tables. And so what we can do is we can do reform, PI tax, that's what the personal income tax liability is in the reform table. And the same variable appears there, right? So we're weighting the difference. So this is the reform-induced difference. So we got to put a parentheses here to close the sum, and we're going to scale it to billions of ringgit, and we're going to give it a name for the column heading. Maybe billions of ringgit. How about that? Let's save that and see whether it works. We did a lot here. Oh, good. Unscripted error. Okay, error near line 2, ambiguous column name, weight. Okay, let's go back. Let's look at the schema rule. See, both the tables have a weight. Now, there's no way for the database to know whether the weight is the same. So what we need to do is go back and clarify this. We need to put an adjective, current law policy weight, right? Because it didn't know which weight. And as far as it knew, they could be different. Now, in this application that we're doing, this micro-simulation application, the weights are never going to be different between current law policy and our reform. So, but there's no way that a relational database can know that. So we have to put this, we have to tell it which weight from which one of the two columns or the two tables that were joined together, which one is, which weight do we want to use? So this should work now. Thought I saved this. Oh, it's this one. Forgot the weight there too. So this is totally unscripted. This was me making mistakes. So this shows that we're all human, that we all make mistakes. And the whole point is to try to have the software that we're working with help us fix the weights. Now, we do have it running now, but we've forgotten to round the tax amount, right? It's got too many decimal points. So let's round that. See, if we were working interactively, this would be a hopelessly complex. Much easier to go in and out of the editor and then run the same command. So here we go, 0.69, that's the difference. How do we know that? Well, we can look at the tail, the bottom of the tax 25 T4V reform table output. Remember, this is not the database, this is the table output. See? This was the difference, the third table. We rounded to 2 significant digits here, and so this is it. Here we have our 4.33 million filers. Those are weighted filers. We have only 370,000 actual people in the file, and we've got a 0.69 difference, which is exactly this. We've rounded to 2 decimal points, and here's our count. So that gives you an idea about how to do things interactively. I'm sorry, using SQLite as a command line tool, not interactively. Writing the query in a much more legible way in your editor, saving the file, and then running it with a command like this. The key part of this is this file redirection command, where you say, basically, execute all the commands in that file. So that's it.